All right, let's just get in here. We're already wicked late. Dude, I don't know what the hell's up with my internet, man. Like, I can load everything fine. The minute I try and load Twitch or try and go live in OBS, it just like, oh, domain error. It's like, okay, then why does everything else work? Would you like to explain? I'm currently streaming on Wi-Fi right now. I have run a hotspot from my router to my old phone, and I'm streaming off of that hotspot connection. I'm using the same internet just through a phone hotspot. I don't know why that makes it work. It lives in the air. It should just work. I don't know how else to explain it. It seems crazy to me. Your boy does not understand. So that said, I don't know. I don't know how stable the connection's going to be. So I'm gonna just try and reset the router again tomorrow and see if that makes it work. Again, I don't know. I got Zoe with me. She's back there. You can't really see her. Zoe. Hey. What are you doing? Oh, can't see her. Hey, bear. All right, well, she's chilling. Stream links were sent out. Thank you, Elroy. Appreciate that. We're defying odds. Not when I wanted to be live. I spend most of the day just doing yard work and stuff, and my body hurts. My body hurts a lot. I'm letting y'all know that. She's scratching her ear. Okay. Zoe stresses me out. All right. So I was gonna do Major League Gaming. I think in the best interest of whatever stable connection I have, we are going to do this instead. I have down yonder. She is really fussing back there. I'm gonna have Jenna come get her when she's done showering and sitch. All right. Hey, Bug. What's up? I know, you just want to be in bed, huh? It's too late. He's like, it's too late. I just want to be sleeping. I don't know what you're trying to lick down there, but don't lick something. Yeah, we can do the new mode. I haven't done anything today. Hello. Hi. So I think we can just watch the Final Fantasy Magic thing that I wanted to check out. We won't get through the whole thing tonight. We'll go through and do face up. I don't want to trust a connection with Star Rail. Or Wuthering Waves or anything like that, honestly. I haven't played my main games today. So we'll thank you. Jenna came and got Zoe. She was really fussy. So I didn't want to. Oh, Discord's not loading content either. Oh, jeez. Okay, I'm gonna close Discord out just in case. Just in case this goes south, y'all. Whatever happens to the stream, I did stream today. I want that known. I want that known. Yeah, I don't know what our Wi-Fi connection is gonna look like here in 15 minutes, but oh. through the router. I'm letting Jenna know. Love computers. Okay. It's in fairness, it's not my computer. It's the freaking Wi-Fi, dude. It's dog shit. Okay. Okay. Screw you, Xfinity. I hate you. Let's check out this. I will bump up the volume a smidgy. So I'm assuming we're just gonna see new cards that I've not seen yet. I've been waiting for y'all. And then we'll just go through game mode stuff whilst we do that. I'll do this. I'll make this a little bit smaller. Like that. So we're not taking up the whole screen. Yeah. And then if something really cool comes on, I'll flippy flop over to here like so. All right. Okay.
ファイナルファンタジー7エバークライスのプロデューサーをしており、本セットにおいてはスクエニックス側のプロデューサーをしております。いよいよデビューショーケースが始まりますね。ずっとこの瞬間
It's so bad more times than not. I hear people talk about outages. Yeah, they don't update their infrastructure, I don't think.
情熱を持ってこの街にしてくださったすべての方へ本当にありがとうございます。マジック、そしてファイナルファンタジーに愛を注いでくださったすべての皆様のおかげで今日という特別な日を迎えることができました。
Alright.
昨年10月の先行公開
We be gaming.
今年2月のファーストルックとここまで長い旅路を
Oh, I did. Flubbed ether raids yesterday, didn't I? I didn't do ether raids yesterday, y'all. Oh, I messed up. Oh no. Oh, well, I guess it's chaos season. It doesn't actually matter, right? It just, I feel bad. If you've never played Magic before, imagine you're building a party in an RPG. A little ingenuity, you can effective tactics against an opponent. Okay. Dude, I do need to order through a local shop. Because I don't think Amazon got me like that, you know what I mean?
It's showtime. Let's step into the world of Magic the Gathering and
I'm getting rid of him.
Okay, it's time to meet the team. He's a principal game designer on Magic the Gathering. You might know him best as the host of Good Morning Magic. He's also been the lead designer on sets like
that's Ben Starr.
Mystery Booster and most recently of all, oh yes, Final Fantasy.
They sold out. Yeah, they sold out on Amazon a couple times, actually.
Oh, thank you. Gavin, what's your favorite Final Fantasy?
Well, that would be Final Fantasy 9. Whoa. Some true fans in the house out here tonight.
Not 16.
The war starts here. Okay, our next panelist is known for his work as the product architect of the Lost Caverns of Ixalan, universes beyond Fallout, universes beyond Assassin's Creed and Bloomburrow.
I did get some stuff through Amazon, but I don't know. I feel like I'd rather support a local shop anyway. I didn't get most of my order because I just wanted to make sure I got something off of Amazon, you know what I mean?
I actually think, there we go, we're good. What's your favorite Final Fantasy?
My favorite Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy X.
Ooh.
9 and 10, dude.
Did Final Fantasy X get a bigger shout out than Final Fantasy 9? Can I hear my 9 fans again? Can I hear my 9 fans? Can I hear my 10 fans? That's crazy, guys. That's crazy. Okay. Next up, he's a senior game designer of Magic the Gathering, probably best known for his work on Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. He is also responsible for mechanical frame and icon design across all sets. He is the lead game designer for Final Fantasy Commander decks. He is Daniel Holt.
What's up, Kupo?
Kupo? Good choice of words.
Here we go, the big question, everyone's waiting for it. What is your favorite Final Fantasy?
Like Zakil, it is Final Fantasy X-2. That is 10, 2.
Not 10-2.
Girls trip for life, baby. Right, here we go. He's principal narrative game designer for Universes Beyond creative team. He's worked on...
You know what? Nobody ever talks about Final Fantasy 12. What's up with that?
Narrative lead for Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy. It's Dylan Deveni for Final Fantasy.
I'm ready to tell you that my personal favorite Final Fantasy game is none other than Final Fantasy 4.
Yeah, look at that!
4 is honestly a good pick, though.
That's right!
A lot of old school connoisseurs just got very excited there. So, here we are at the start of our journey. Final Fantasy I. The Magna Carta of video games, something that quite literally changed the landscape of gaming forever.
I respect anybody that picks 4.
When darkness veils the world, 4 warriors of light shall come. This is the beginning of the genre-defining game.
Watching this reminds me of a video I watched recently, 2 Magic the Gathering players Yu-Gi-Oh! For the first time.
Warriors of light as they embark on this adventure across time and space.
Dude,
But
I bet
as a
that's a
player,
riot.
You can select from 4 of 6 possible jobs to become your Warriors of Light. And your first deadly challenge as the Warriors of Light are to take on none other than Garland, Knight of Cornelia. And though Garland is keen to knock you down, the 4 Warriors of Life are triumphant, and they defeat their first adversary.
Are we just... Oh, wait. Are we going through every Final Fantasy?
Time loop that puts them in the deadly foes of none other than chaos.
Chaos.
I hope they introduce cards from every title.
This game lays the foundation for many of the iconic elements we're going to see across all of the 16 mainline games. Things like prophecies and crystals, the job system, overworld exploration, random encounters, leveling up, high-stakes
maxed.
adventures, airships, you name it. This is where
Oh,
we
shoot.
firmly plant our foot and decide this is what Final Fantasy
That
is
is fair.
going to become.
So, Gavin, jobs and classes. How did you do that?
Yeah, we knew from the very beginning we needed to have a way to show off the jobs of Final Fantasy. And we talked about it for a long time and came up with the idea of a brand new mechanic. That looks a
9,000?
little like an older mechanic called the Job Select. So this shows up on equipment throughout the set.
Hearthstone.
You make a 1/1.
Hi, do you guys know anything about...
So if you know Magic, you might recognize this as, say, Living Weapon or for Mirrodin.
Do you know anything
One makes
about
0/0s,
the-
Mirrodin makes 2/2s. There's a number between those two, which is 1/1. So we went for that here. Now,
shoot.
they all confer abilities,
What's it
as
called?
You can see that are really key to what the
Shadowverse?
class is doing.
Do y'all know anything about
You can see
Shadowverse,
black mages draw, punish your
the
opponent.
TCG?
But the other thing that's worth calling out in particular is they also confer the type that class or job has. So the white mage's staff turns you into a cleric, the black mage's rod turns you into a wizard, and so on. Just has a little flavor nod happening right there. We grabbed all the job select cards in this set from Final Fantasy I and Final Fantasy XIV, which you might see some of later.
Oh, what a tease. Thank you, all 4 of you, but I do believe it is time to meet the last member of our panel. She is an art director on Magic the Gathering. She's worked on Universes Beyond sets such as Assassin's Creed, Doctor Who, and of course, Final Fantasy. Joining us on video, it's Stephanie Chung.
Did I just hear them say there was a
Hey,
Doctor
Pisces.
Who
I'm so
crossover
excited
for
to
Magic?
Share our next card with you. Long before I ever played my first game in the Final Fantasy series, I was already obsessed with their iconic character designs. It was influence on my own journey as an artist and deepened my love for video games. So I think you'll all agree that it wouldn't be Final Fantasy if we didn't include art from the legendary Yoshitaka Amano.
There was?
Another way to celebrate his influence and incredible talent.
That's
as his
tight.
original
I never knew
Cloud
that.
Sea Jin. This incredible piece is featured in a showcase frame
Ooh.
you've seen before. The transparent frame allows us to show off the art with minimal distractions from mechanics and text. You can really immerse
I
yourself
should probably move my
truly
camera over here,
appreciate
huh?
the details of Amano's mark making and masterful
better.
washes of ink. This piece is a great example of his iconic
See, this
style,
is why I want them.
especially with the incredible way he balances negative space. From the pale clouds contrasting the dark
The art
figure of
looks
the Jin
incredible.
to the flow of details from the Jin's hand, cascading around the party and spilling into the clouds around them. The card also isn't anything to sneeze at. Nyx Bloom Ancient is a flashy card that is a dream for any Stompy deck.
Thank you.
Stompy deck?
We are going to be hearing from Stephanie throughout the show, and now we are underway. We are done with 1. Let's move on to Final Fantasy 2. This is a more high fantasy, expanding and iterating on the ideas that were laid down in 1, without many radical changes. Sakil, take us through this.
Yeah, absolutely. So Final Fantasy II is tonally very similar in creative tone. The main difference lies in a game mechanic called weapon skill, which is based on your proficiency as you wield weapons in battle and gain experience throughout the game. So it only makes sense for the main character of Final Fantasy II.
I want to look up the Doctor Who crossover so bad, but I know it's going to absolutely juice my connection.
3 that
Like in a bad way.
Control have haste, and whenever another equipment comes into the battlefield, you create a copy of that, and it has the ability to cost 2 less to equip. So we just showed you White Mage's Rod. If you have this in play and cast that, not only do you get another copy of that equipment, but you also get another 1/1 hero. And then similarly, the next card on our
That's
Final
cool.
Fantasy Through the Ages bonus sheet is SRAM. Red-white, of course, is a prolific archetype within Magic, all revolving around equipment, and we think this is a brand new way to be able to collect beautiful artwork by Yoshitaka Amano and play both of these copies of Furion along.
All right, we made it. We did the
Thank you
thing.
very much. And also, thank you for everyone here right now who's oohing and ahhing in exactly the right places. It really validates all their work.
Getting Ben
Thank you
started
so
to do
much.
this
I'm
was
eager to see
so
more
smart.
cards, and it's written down here. It says, I am as eager as a beaver. Gavin, explain yourself.
All right, so I want to give a big shout out to Yanni Skalnick, who led the early vision design of the set.
Commune
He
with
handed it off to me.
beavers.
There's a card in there called Commune with Beavers. And I was like, Yanni, you got to tell me what's going on with this card. And he told me the story about talking with beavers, get the information that you need. And I was like, we have to preserve this. So it stayed the whole way through the entire life cycle of this set. Now, to me, this is a great
Wait, did I miss a day?
of Magic and Final Fantasy. Because a
Oh, no,
commune
I didn't.
spell in
Okay.
Magic looks at your top few cards for a card. And so it kind of blends the flavor of Final Fantasy, the name Commune with Beavers, with a magic effect, where of course it looks at your top few cards for a beaver or any other creature you might want to have around. So just a simple little common, but kind of gets at the whimsy that Final Fantasy has, right? There's a lot of epic fights and incredible
Guys speak
monsters,
beaver.
and also sometimes just guy speaks beaver, you know? And that's the important part of this moment here on this card.
I like to think that we all speak beaver. Moving swiftly on.
Someone in the audience yell, hell yeah.
We're moving on from 2 to
That's
guess
crazy.
what? Number 3. Final Fantasy 3. It's worth remembering that both 2 and 3 didn't release in the US until years later.
Dude,
but
how
there's
is
one
Kath
thing
tanking
kind of
that? That's
remains true,
crazy.
which is the defining iconography of the crystals. Dylan, walk us through this.
Yeah, I'm really happy you brought up crystals, right? We're going to talk about crystals a lot throughout the show, and it is a signature element of Final Fantasy. So in Final Fantasy 3, our characters are going to go on a journey, the Onion Knights that become the Warriors of Light, go on a journey to bring balance to the elemental crystals across the land, just as the Golden people promised.
Oh, they are going
And so
through
we were
every
talking
single
about how we're
title.
gonna bring this element into Magic the Gathering, and we decided that, well, there's 4 elemental crystals, and there are the dark crystals.
I had
in the
heard
World of Darkness.
that they're going to try and do like a One Ring type thing with a gold chocobo.
Tiny crystal we see here.
But
Yeah,
I
as
don't
Dylan
know if
mentioned,
they talk
crystals are
about
so
that
prominent
here.
within Final Fantasy that it only made sense when working on the set symbol that was the
Which
first
means
spot where
absolute
you'll see the
pandemonium,
chocobo
I'm
Commander.
assuming.
We'll talk about that when we get there. But you can see this rarity symbol here is the crystal. Gavin, you want to talk about the card?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as was mentioned earlier, yeah, well, there's the nice booster fun version. And by the way, what I was about to say, there's 5 crystals in the set, 1 for each color, and they all have a cool booster fun version like this you can go collect. Now, they are a 5-card cycle, 1 for each color. They all cost 4 mana. They're all legendary artifacts.
Okay,
They all
take
make
Prime.
spells of that color cost 1 less. But the rest of them is a little unique depending on what that crystal does. They've got a big activated ability of some kind, a cool static ability. I'll let all of you start speculating now. But the crystals, you're going to want to try and get all of them on your side.
So Gavin, earlier you mentioned starting towns. I believe right now you have a new land to show us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, if you're playing Final Fantasy, there's, once again, these huge epic battles.
A land
Lots of
card?
simple little concepts, especially at Common, like this Adventurer's Inn. So this is a brand new land subtype. This is a town. You'll find towns all throughout the set in Final Fantasy, the many places and locations that you end up at. If you've played Ravnica before, it's kind of like gates, where there are some cards that key into what towns do. It doesn't have any inherent meaning. And there's a lot of lands ranging from simple commons.
I think I'm gonna have to
all
talk
the way
to
up
Oblivion
rares,
to
and
find out
maybe,
what's going on with
just
this.
maybe we might see a rare one later on. But here you go, a nice little Adventurer's Inn. Of course, what would an inn do? But give you back a couple life. Take a nice rest. If you've got the money for it, get those 2 life.
So that's a lovely little taste of Final Fantasy 3. Let's move on to Final Fantasy 4. Dylan, you have been waiting for this moment.
Yes, I have. Thank you also. I really love that, and I needed that, so thank you. So yes, I would love to talk about my personal favorite, Final Fantasy.
4 is great.
4 holds a very, very special place in my heart because I think it was the first time I really discovered what narrative game design was and the power of the medium when I was very, very young on Super Nintendo. The
I feel
journey
that.
Cecil goes through, starting as a Dark Knight, wielding very wicked power in service to the potentially corrupt King of Baron. He goes on this journey of redemption to become a paladin.
Okay, I think Gren is good for now.
We were talking about the story, and I was
We
telling
gotta
Gavin, I was like,
level
"Listen,
up.
This story meant a lot to me because in the game,
Or we gotta get some skills on
you
probably
have this
Lilina and then
amazing
Roy.
Dark Knight sprite. You go to Mount Ordeals, you claim your sword, and you become a paladin, and then you have to fight yourself in this 1v1 battle to come to terms with your darkness, slay your inner evils, and truly become a paladin. And so this story was so important to me personally. It's something that made me fall.
Those
in
are
love
cool
with Final
cards, too.
Fantasy, and it was a story that we, I think, did a pretty good job of.
Yeah, and we brought the story to life. We're trying to figure out how to tell this story. And one of the tools we have in this set are double-sided cards, right? So you see these double-faced cards here with Cecil, where he starts off as the Dark Knight and then transforms into the Redeemed Paladin. Final Fantasy has so many moments for villains and heroes alike where they undergo these great transformations.
So these are the
And
full
there's
arts
several
versus the
double-faced
regular?
cards
Is that what
in
I'm
the set
gathering there?
that do just that, where you get to see the characters evolve before your very eyes. And also on screen here, you'll see that gorgeous Booster Fun version of Cecil, which is really, really, really neat. And I'm so glad we were able to capture this. I was inspired by Death's Shadow, if any of you Magic players out there know that card, to make a card that dealt damage to you, and then eventually it flips over to be a 4/4 lifelinker and start gaining that life right on back. But Cecil is not the only card.
I love everyone here so much.
Cecil is not the only card that we wanted to design from Final Fantasy IV, and a character that posed a lot of trouble for me was Kain. I kept trying to design Kain, I could not figure out how to do it, and then one day, Dylan sends me something.
I was like, Gavin,
gifted
I don't want to
magic.
snoop in, I don't want to step on your toes, but I really like this game, I really like this character, I have a pitch that I'm going to send you, and he was very nice enough to read it, he went over it, and he looked at me and he was like, yeah, let's do it. And so we kind of moved forward to trying to capture one of Kain's most complicated story elements. If you are a fan of this game, or if you've played this game, you felt the same heartbreak and betrayal that I did when you went up into that boss battle and you're like, wait, what do you mean he left my party? What do you mean he's fighting for Golbez? Where is he going? And so we wanted to capture that sense at the table when you play it. So I had this idea, maybe he defects, maybe he passes around. There is the story of the treasure tokens being the crystals you're collecting. I was very happy with it, and Gavin was kind enough to link it into the rest of the file, which I'm very appreciative, by the way.
And I want to call out, this is Dylan's first ever Magic card published, so big hand for Dylan right here.
Thank you, everyone.
Huge.
Thank you very much.
His childhood favorite character as a card, that's pretty cool.
Right, let's move on. It's time for Final Fantasy.
That's actually
V.
so
And
big,
whilst we
though.
do, okay, good for you. That's nice. Not many, but good for you. As we head on to Final Fantasy V, obviously a very, very beloved game, I want us to take a step back and figure out, well, explain to us how you arrived at the overall shape of this set.
Yeah, so that's a monumental question and a very good one of how did we fit 16 Final Fantasy games into one set. There are a lot of characters, there's a lot of stories,
That's probably a little
lot of
bit
games,
louder for you
magic
guys.
spells, items, abilities, lands, adventures, quests, mini games, songs, and how do we put it all into one thing? We needed something early on to help make decisions. So if you can imagine the four of us in a room at the Wizards of the Coast office with a locked door, we made a conspiracy board on the wall, we opened up an Excel sheet, we got the whiteboard, and we wrote down every game, and we just said, okay, what do you remember about Final Fantasy 1? Go way back in the archives, go deep in the tank. What do you remember loving about this game? And we did that for 2, 3, all the way up for every single game. And then when we were done with that, weeks later, we went to our fellow wizards in the office, and I asked everyone the same intense line of questioning. And then when we were done with that, weeks later, we went to Square Enix, and we talked to the game producers and the designers and the developers, and we were like, what were you very proud of with your game? What is very special about the title that you worked on? What is the thing that you would want everyone to see once again? And once we had all of that, we were able to start our process. So from there, we kind of made this internal tier system, tiers 1, 2, and 3, to help
Dude,
us
that's
make
a lot of prep.
decisions. These weren't like, oh, these are the best and these are the worst. These are just, we need to make some decisions along the way. Some characters will be here, some characters won't be here. So tier 1, we decided was, these are the things that have to be here. These are the DNA of Final Fantasy. So Chocobos, Moogles, they absolutely have to be there. You expect to see them, so you're gonna see them. Tier 2 are the, hey, if you're a fan of a very specific game, you're gonna recognize that. Maybe it's an iconic mini game, or an NPC that you really fell in love with, or a super boss you spend many hours losing against, like me. And then tier 3 was the super duper crunchy deep cut. This is for the nerds. No way you spent time and money to get that in. Yes, we did. We had to do that. And so I really look forward to all of you, and I challenge all of you to go through and find the tier 3s that we snuck in there across the set.
Okay then, Dylan.
That's interesting.
Which tier is this cheeky boy in?
All right. Gilgamesh is clearly the top tier. This is a recurring villain who plays kind of the comic relief in the game. He has a passion for weapons, and that's exactly what his card does. It's a titanic ability. If you're familiar with Magic, a Titan ability, it enters and attacks. He searches for those equipment. He looks at the top 6 cards of your library, gets all of those equipment onto the battlefield. And then you make one of them, it keeps going. One of them goes for free onto any samurai you control, whether it's from Kamigawa, whether it's Gilgamesh himself, snaps onto that samurai and gets to fighting.
Thank you so much for the ooze again. They make us feel great. Right, Zakil, our next card you're going to take us through showcases the depth of the worlds you get to play in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the Universes Beyond program, one of my favorite things is we get to tailor each set based on the IP and audience that we're working with. So our language
Universes Beyond is what they call their
fans is through the lens of design.
collaborations,
Now,
right?
We have this thing called a design, a complexity dial that kind of goes from 1 to 5, with 1 being kind of our intro level products and 5 being our more complex products like a Horizon set. Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy is a little bit higher on that dial, specifically because you all as video game players and specifically RPG fans already innately understand a lot of aspects of game development. We don't have to explain the idea of health or mana or damage or items or party configuration or the difference between a glass cannon versus a tank. So internally, we just really had the rule of cool to make sure that we made the best versions of each character, went through Magic's archives to bring back all of the most awesome mechanics that pay off all of your favorite moments. So the best example of that is in Bartz and Boko. And Bartz and Boko have a very interesting ability, and that is Affinity for Birds. So Affinity is a long-time Magic mechanic that has been around for more than 20 years, and this is a way in which we're able to build specific
20 years?
You to play. Perhaps
Bro, how long has this game been around?
And then when they come into play, each other bird you control deals damage to your opponents, which we think will be pretty fun and limited.
Yeah, I gotta say, in our internal testing, I was always on Team Birds. I love the standard. You can take like your Bloomborough birds and your Chocobos and put them together to make a cool deck. So count me in as a bird fan. Go Birds.
Just as a vibe check, have we got any bird fans in the audience? I like you so much. Okay, moving on. Final Fantasy VI.
That was pretty quiet. That was pretty quiet.
I said, sorry, I don't think you heard me. I said Final Fantasy VI.
Oh, we did.
Daniel, Final Fantasy VI is the first
Since the
of 4
90s?
games that have Commander decks. Is that correct?
That's true. We get to talk about Commander. This is the first of 4
I guess
Commander
that would
decks.
be
Commander decks, if you're not familiar, are 100-card pre-constructed
like almost
decks
30
divided
years,
into
yeah.
decks. It will be completely themed around Final Fantasy VI, as the other games when we get to them. This deck specifically, we focused on the second half of the Final Fantasy VI game to set you up for story. Kefka just won, the world's in ruin, all your party members are scattered across
Burbs?
the land.
Love Burbs.
And you're going to gather them back up, form your party, get the gang back together, and go take down Kefka. And that's exactly what Terra here does. Her trance ability, when she attacks, she'll get an evasive so she can connect in, but she's also going to fill your graveyard with your party members and friends. Then when she connects, you're going to bring them back, you're going to get the party together, and you're going to go conquer Kefka.
Pretty cool. Do you want to show us a little bit how summons might work in this game?
Well, it wouldn't be Final Fantasy without summons.
True.
With Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy, we introduced it as Saga Creatures. These are both creatures and sagas. So you'll get your creature out, summon Esper Valagramande, has haste, so it'll attack right away. But as the
So
turn
Saga
passes,
Creatures
you'll
is a
get those
new
abilities. The first one, you're going to be pulling
mechanic
resources
for
from all
Magic
graveyards, all
in
those
general,
non-creature
yeah?
spells. And over time, you're going to get mana to cast those spells. And at the end of the chapter, it's going to go away in an epic conclusion.
Wow. So do we have any Terra fans in the audience?
That's kind of cool that they're utilizing
Highlight held of hope,
a new.
but here's the card. I think we've shown it. She looks.
They're
pretty good,
utilizing
right?
the
Here's
crossover
Stephanie to tell us a little bit. More.
as a way to actually introduce a new mechanic that
Thanks, Ben.
exists in the
You may
game.
have noticed that there is something very special about these 2 paintings. In our Final Fantasy
That's
Artist
cool.
series, we've invited 9
I feel like
incredible
most of the
artists
time when
from
there's
Square
a
Enix
like a
to
game
illustrate any
crossover,
character from the Final Fantasy franchise.
my
They were
instinct
not
is
limited
to
the series that they worked on, but invited to illustrate any
my
character,
instinct is to
especially
assume
ones that they have always wanted to paint.
that the
So not only
crossover
are
is
these
going to
painted
be
by
like
the one and
very
only Yoshitaka Amano,
very hush
but these
hush.
are brand
Like
new
it's not
paintings of Terra,
canon to the
never
story and
before
stuff,
seen
so like
until this Universe is Beyond
they
partnership.
try and make it as
And without further ado, there's a special message from Amano himself.
inserted as possible without like taking over anything or like introducing something new.
ファイナルファンタジーはね、やっぱりずっとやってきてるし。あ、こっちはもうね、なるべく非常識の絵を描こうっていうことで、囚われないで描きました。
Yeah, when I saw that they brought him back, that's when I was like, oh, I definitely I want this.
ケフカはもうめちゃくちゃですね。狂った色、いろんな色が入った方がいいんじゃないかなっていうイメージみたいなぼやっとしたものがあって、それを形にしていく。まあその行為がまあ楽しいというか。まあまずその通常のティナは剣持ってて空挺がいっぱいいてっていうファイナルファンタジーの世界をちょっともう一回表現してみよう。こっちの変身後の方は最初にキャラクター作った時以外はあんまり書いてないんですよね。あの時はもう少しこう腕掘れもされてましたから、これはちょっとリアルにしたんですけど。おー、かっこいいですね。素晴らしいです。素晴らしいですね。へー。小さいんですけども、すごいこう、重みがあるというんですかね。マジックとファイナルファンタジーのコラボレーション、皆さん楽しんでください。
Ugh, all these are bad. But we'll take something.
So if we're going to get art from Amano to put on our cards, we had better make some pretty awesome Magic cards. And that's what you're seeing here with Terra. So on her front face, she comes down. She finds you an enchantment. One of those saga creatures, perhaps. Something that she can summon. When it's time, you can flip her over to her other side, literally turn the card over to unlock Esper Terra. She copies an enchantment that you have and does something we've never done in Magic before, which lets you kind of set it on the chapter counter you want, get the abilities you want, and then it goes away. After her 4 chapters are done, she adds 10 mana to your pool, which for all you astute Magic fans in the audience, you might notice that she is green and red, and she starts adding white, blue, and black, which is, of course, the Esper color combination in Magic the Gathering. She flips back over to her front side, and then you can do it all over again. Plus, get that Enter's ability to grab another enchantment. A really powerful Magic card, and really worthy of this incredible...
I don't know what that means.
All right. Dylan, please would you bring us up to speed on the narrative of Final Fantasy VI?
So it sounds like we have a lot of Final Fantasy VI fans here in the audience today. But if you haven't played this wonderful game yet, I'm just going to spin you a picture so we can all understand what we're talking about here. So Final Fantasy VI is an epic told in 2 parts. The first half of the story revolves around the conflict between the Gestalian Empire and the Returners Resistance movement. It takes on a very classic shape of a Final Fantasy story, right? We're introduced to our many beloved cast of characters like Terra and Celeste, Locke, and eventually we see them all come together, rally to battle against Kefka, one of video games' most iconic villains of all time. But of course, as the chosen heroes to save the world from the villain of this game, you would expect that when you go up against Kefka, you are victorious. But perhaps, as Daniel alluded previously, something special about Final Fantasy VI is halfway through the game, you lose. And so, the second part of this game is about the world of Ruin, where Kefka has become the ruler of all. He has become all-powerful and is the master of all magic. So, your party is scattered to the winds. Eventually, Celeste, Terra come back together. You rally everyone to take on Kefka one more time and eventually conquer the ruler of Ruin.
So, Gavin, do you want to take us through this card?
Yeah, this is a very special one, Ben. So, of course, featuring
Ooh, attacked events hold is
by Amano, a blue, black,
tempting.
and red legend. When Kefka enters, you play a little mini-game. Each player is going to discard some cards, and then you get to draw some cards back up, well-fitting of kind of the mini-game aspect that Kefka has. But when it is time to go to the world of Ruin, you can pay 8 mana. Each opponent sacrifices a permanent, the world gets a little ruined, and then you flip Kefka over. 5/7, flying. It can attack right away the turn you flip it over, of course, as long as it's been played for a turn. You hit your opponent, you draw 5 more cards, and then as long as Kefka's in play, whenever an opponent loses life, you draw that many cards. It is very hard to come back from getting hit by Kefka, just as it should be.
Okay, there you have it.
I don't know if I like the concept of that, though.
Final Fantasies 1 through 6. We are halfway through our show, and we are going to give our incredible panelists a little break for a few minutes. So please give it up for our panelists. Thank you so much.
They having a break time?
Let's bring our panelists back onto the stage. Gavin, Zakil, Dylan, Daniel, let's rejoin.
Oh. They must have edited that part.
Who wants to see some magic cards? Woo! Yeah! All right, all right.
Okay. That was incredibly well planned. Let's go. I want everyone to settle down, and I recognize that we can't really jump back immediately into Final Fantasy VII. I think we
remote
need
mirror
to jump
makes
into
sense.
something a little fun. I think we need to jump into something, dare I say, a little cute. Let's watch this.
What is this? Bruh. Yeah, that. I think they're doing to that what they did to the One Ring for the only in English collector boosters. The color of chocobo is found in wait.
Wow,
that's
that's quasi. That's not in the cards. I just said that myself. Okay, Zakil, talk us through this.
Yeah, oh man, I love chocobos. Right here is our flagship chocobo at Mythic in Traveling Chocobo. It is a 3-mana 3/2 that allows you to look at the top card of your library, as well as cast
Bird.
and play birds and lands from the top. Earlier, we showed you Bartz and Boko, who interacts within the bird archetype within the set. That card enters the battlefield and deals damage or birds deal damage off that trigger. This card also doubles those triggers. And we knew that Chocobos are such an important part of the Final Fantasy franchise that we had to do something really special. So enter our colorful Chocobos. Here are 4 of them in neon ink in yellow, pink, green, and blue. These are found in
I guess I'm committing.
boosters. And during development, as we were putting this together, we worked very closely with Final Fantasy VII creative director Tetsuya Nomura, who really loved the idea. One of his producers during development told us that his favorite chocobo from the original Final Fantasy VII was the black chocobo named Teo because he was the fastest one in the original minigame, and it held a very special place in his heart.
Yeah, the black chocobo is cool.
We built this last card kind of as a secret in the background and surprised Tetsuya Nomura. So that card is exclusively found printed in Japanese and available in all language collector boosters as a nod to that story for him. And then the lone serialized card in Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy is the Golden Chocobo. This card is only available in English collector boosters and is serialized out of 77 for Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Wait, so there's only 77?
Give a round of applause for Chocobos.
Imagine you get one.
Okay. Now we move on to a little bijou game called Final Fantasy VII.
I don't know. What's that one?
Never
I'm unfamiliar.
It really is an amazing video game, and it has a huge reputation. Dylan, this game is huge.
So huge, in fact, that on the original release for PlayStation, it came in 3 discs.
True.
If you were an old school gamer, if you were there back in the day, you knew you were in for a wild time when your game came in multiple discs, especially for an RPG. So, walk with me. Final Fantasy VII follows the story of Cloud Strife, ex-soldier and current mercenary, as he winds up in this broiling conflict between the Shinra Electric Company and the anti-Shinra resistance group, Avalanche. Cloud's adventure begins in Midgar, of course, the city of Mako, and this world that we're introduced to is inspired by these science fantasy aesthetics and these kind of cyberpunk-inspired themes. And the first disc is just about this amazing adventure that brings together the core cast of characters like Barrett, Tifa, Aerith, Red 13, as they battle against Shinra and ultimately learn of a deadly threat looming on the horizon, Sephiroth.
Why'd he go quiet?
Please insert disc 2.
Good bit.
Disc 2 launches us into the open world.
That's a good bit.
Lands, battling monsters, riding chocobo, collecting materia,
Oh, that's a good
and
bit.
visiting many iconic locations like the Gold Saucer and Cosmo Canyon. And we get to meet more allies like Kate Sith and Sid Highwind.
Kinda
If
crazy,
you're going for the full experience
but I
of
dig
the
it.
original release, you spend a lot of time recruiting Yuffie and Vincent.
True.
The stakes become higher. We learn more about the ancients and Genova, Sephiroth's master plan, and Cloud's increasingly mysterious backstory.
Disc 3.
Please insert.
Oh, okay. We want to do disc 3. So finally, in the ultimate finale, we hit a
Okay.
major
I liked the
climax.
bit better when
Plot
it was just the
twists,
one-off.
shocking character deaths, cataclysmic boss battles, and a final gauntlet against Genova and Sephiroth to save the world. So I've taken you on this extended and somewhat silly journey just to kind of remind all of us how much content we needed to fit into the set just from Final Fantasy VII.
True. Also, it
So,
sells the best.
There are obviously some amazing cards. Let's get to it. Gavin, let's show us one.
All right, well,
Outside of maybe 10.
we have to have the characters for Final Fantasy VII, of course. So how about Cloud?
Oh, Cloud looks
We
sick.
knew we had to do Cloud. Obviously, we're going to do Cloud, but what was Cloud going to do? How are we going to make him a card that was worthy of the Cloud mantle? Well, the first thing Cloud does when he comes into play is go and find an equipment. Of course, he's got to find his sword. That's critical. Now, if you are a long-time Magic player, you might know about a card called Stoneforge Mystic. Very powerful Magic card. Cloud is a little bit reminiscent of that, finding you any equipment you want. It also doubles all the abilities conferred by that equipment. So you put, say, an old school Sword of Fire and Ice or Sword of Feast and Famine on him, boom, you're doubling up all those triggers. So there's a lot of really powerful stuff you can do with Cloud. This card is incredible and well worthy of being Cloud. Now you might be wondering, what is Cloud going to find? What kind of stuff might you want to find with Cloud? Well,
Buster
there's a
Sword
card in the set
material.
called Buster Sword. That's some pretty good news, right?
Classic.
Would you all like to see the Buster Sword? Well, I'm not going to show it to you. You can stay tuned to find out what the Buster Sword does in the days to come, but I can tell you that it's 3 mana, curves right off of a Cloud, and it's pretty good on Cloud himself.
Oh, not showing it to us. Quite literally the definition of a double-edged sword. Zakil, what's next?
Our next card, in my opinion, is one of the most iconic characters in video game history.
Bruh.
He has brought excitement, joy, and terror to millions of fans around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and a privilege to introduce to you,
dude,
illustrated by none other than Tetsuya Nomura, Sephiroth.
Hold up. We gotta go full screen for that. Dude.
So Stephanie mentioned earlier that there were 9 artists from Square Enix who created illustrations exclusively for this project. One of those artists, of course, was Tetsuya Nomura. They all had the choice to pick any character from the Final Fantasy series that they wanted to illustrate, and we would make sure that they had a card. One of Nomura's missions when he drew this illustration was to really narrate the progression that the character has in his multiple different forms. So if we look on the left at the bottom, you have Child Sephiroth that was introduced in Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, who of course then grows up into Adult Sephiroth from the original game, who then transforms into his penultimate form in Bizarro Sephiroth, which then leads to the end-all, be-all, most powerful version in Safer Sephiroth. So, do you all want to see his card? So let's check out Sephiroth, Fabled Soldier. He's a 3-mana 3/3. Whenever he enters,
that's
attacks,
cool.
you may sacrifice another creature. If you do,
that's really
draw
cool.
a card. Then, whenever another creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And if this is the 4th time this ability is triggered, transform Sephiroth into Sephiroth, 1-winged angel, who is a 5/5 legendary creature angel nightmare with flying and the ability Supernova. As this creature transforms, you gain an emblem with the same ability from the front side, and it is capped off with whenever Sephiroth attacks, you may sacrifice any number of other creatures. If you do, draw that many cards. This is the 2nd ever creature in Magic the Gathering to produce an emblem. This is the card that I think went through the most design iterations. It felt like we had a new build of Sephiroth every single month within development because we wanted to make sure his card was special and he would have a grand entrance into Magic the Gathering.
Amazing. Okay, let's moving on. So many amazing characters.
That is a
in
really
Final
cool
Fantasy
card.
VII. Here's one. Dylan.
We're going to talk about the story of Sephiroth and Cloud. Of course, we're going to talk about Aerith herself. So here we can see Aerith is the white mage and healer of the party. She's here to protect you. She's here to heal you. And she has a 3rd ability that may or may not be related to a story beat. So if you're a fan, let us know if that happens to be relevant or not. I'm not sure myself.
Yeah. Spoiler alert on that card for some reason. Okay, let's moving on.
You see this beautiful version of the Flower Girl herself. But we're not just going to talk about Aerith today. We're also going to talk about Tifa!
My queen.
So we see 2 Tifas here, and I actually
Hell
see
yeah.
a Tifa here in the front row. You look fantastic. The one on the left here is Tifa Lockhart. This is her main set card, and I just want to personally attest. I have won so many games in-house with this card, and I've lost even more games against this card. She is very, very powerful, but it's not the only Tifa that we have. Dan, you want to talk about the Commander version?
Right, you see that Chocobo symbol? That means we're talking about Commander. This is the secondary Commander for the Commander deck for Final Fantasy VII. This is Tifa. She has melee. I put that on pretty early on. You know, martial artist, she gets in there. But the second ability I was struggling with for a little bit of while. And then Dylan joined the game design team pretty late, and he's like, hey, what if you focused on this? So we leaned into that extra attack. That's what she does in the game. You're trying to get combos going. And so whenever you attack with melee, you get to power 7 or greater, which is the sub-theme of the deck. You get those extra combats. So, as you guessed, there is a full Final Fantasy VII Commander deck led by none other than Cloud himself. This deck is an equipment deck with that sub-theme of Power 7 or greater. So in this deck, you'll find
That's
every
cool.
party member you come to expect, maybe some villains in here as well, and all the iconic equipment like a Buster Sword, Yuffie Shuriken, Tifa's boots, everything you'd expect to find. And then with that Cloud as the face commander, he's tying everything together. He gets in there with that haste magic. He gets a free equipment. And then whenever he attacks, you draw a card for each attacking member of your team that is suited up. And then if his power is 7 or more, he gets paid as that mercenary to cast those spells.
Incredible. Right. Here we are. Finally, the game I've been waiting for, and hopefully all of you have.
8.
Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah.
Quite literally the game that changed my life, so this is a very emotional moment for me. Dylan, let's talk about this game.
There is so much to love and appreciate about Final Fantasy VIII. I'm so happy you all cheered so loud for this game.
Dude, the Gunblade
Final
is so
Fantasy VIII kind of
goated.
pushes what we understand fantasy to be as a genre, right? It really leans into a lot of esoteric ideas. You know, if we all remember Squall dreaming of Laguna and events of the past, trying to figure out how to stop the future, and then ultimately we go up against Ultimisia, whose whole plan harkens back to Chaos from Final Fantasy I to compress time and space into one massive power source for her to become an ascendant being. This story explores depth upon layer of how we understand fantasy to be in a modernized setting. I see why you love it so much.
I do. Daniel, let's talk us through this card here.
Well,
My boy Squall.
As Renoa once said, he's the best looking guy here. It's Squall. He's a bit of a lone wolf character, so that's what his abilities represent. With that rough divide, whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it gets double strike. Why is that important? The second ability, whenever he deals damage to a player, you get to return any non-land permanent with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. You got double strike, you're doing that twice. I think we have a booster fund version to show as well with that full art. Yeah, there it is. And I did mention Renoa at the beginning, Zakil. Maybe we should show her card?
Yeah. Here we have Renoa Heartlily. Look at that. Look at that.
Dude. They got the doggo
Renoa
too?
Is a close friend of Squall, and mechanically is known for battling alongside her dog, Angelo. So it would only be right for her to have the ability Angelo Cannon in combat. When you attack, if you have a very large party, you get a buff. Angelo, any target creature you control, but specifically Angelo,
That's
gets a huge
cute.
buff, so he will come in hot. So get ready. And I think next we're going to be looking at the villain of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, enough with these heroes. Let's go on to the real hero of Final Fantasy VIII, and that is Ultimisia. We did something very special on this card. It's the first card in Magic's history to be an uncommon that takes an extra turn. So this is an incredibly powerful card for an uncommon. When she comes into play, she does a little surveilling, you know, fills up your graveyard a little bit. And then finally, when you have, interesting number, 8 cards in your graveyard and 8 mana, you can turn her over to Ultimisia Omnipotent, take another turn, and I'll tell you, 7/7 Menace plus another turn is a pretty easy way to close out a game. So yeah, take that, heroes, take that.
Okay, do we have any triple triad fans in the
Ultimisia
room?
cool.
Oh. Would you like to see some triple triad cards?
Dude, they put
Yeah,
Triad
they
in?
won't let me show them. Okay.
Oh.
But believe me, all they're in there. So, moving on pretty swiftly, we're going to go on to a little game called Final Fantasy.
Dude, triple triad's so
IX.
cool.
Here's
Is that really all they're going to show from 8?
Stephanie to tell us more.
I'm so excited to introduce my personal favorite of the Final Fantasy series, Final Fantasy IX. Final Fantasy IX was a fond farewell to the classic medieval fantasy setting. It paid homage to earlier games through its stylized character designs and was full of references and features
Oh, we're
from past
cooked.
games. One of our core creative pillars in this partnership was artistic authenticity.
Dude, I couldn't
We needed to
touch
preserve
him.
the stylized character designs while interpreting it through the lens of Magic so we could offer something fresh and exciting while staying true to the heart of Final Fantasy IX. The story
Let's get
follows
this
Zidane
together.
as he teams up with the Princess of
Cooked.
Alexandria, Garnet, to stop Queen Braun and her army of black mages. It balances charm and lovable characters with an emotional, often heart-wrenching story of self-discovery and acceptance. As a teenager, the themes were so memorable and spoke to my angsty younger self. I went as far as getting my hands on the piano collections and learned to play a few iconic pieces by heart. I fondly remember replaying my save file over and over again just to rewatch those incredible cutscenes. This game was incredibly resonant, and as with every game in the Final Fantasy series, it was important that we did Final Fantasy IX justice.
Okay. Let's see some cards. Akil?
Yes. The first character we're going to look at is one of the antagonists from Final Fantasy IX, and that is Kuja Genome Sorcerer. Now, his illustration depicts a scene in which he is summoning an army of black mages against our heroes. He is also the head of the black-red archetype within the set that focuses on black mages, and he has two forms. At the end of each end step, he summons wizards to the battlefield, and once you have 4 more, he transforms into his more powerful version, Trance Kuja, that doubles the damage of all wizards to players or permanents you control. And check out that beautiful wizard.
Launch the dog.
Up next, we have
that's what made Angelo the GOAT.
For the Magic fans, we haven't shown any Final Fantasy Through the Ages bonus sheet cards. Check out this card reprint of Ragavan Nimble Pilferer as Zidane Tribal. Gavin, who else from Final Fantasy IX is in this set?
Well, as a huge 9 fan, I'm really happy to show to you. That's the reaction I was hoping for, everybody. Here's Vivi. All right, so a little bit of black mages going on right here, right? We saw black mages a moment ago. When you cast a non-creature spell, you ping them. But Vivi's a little more curious than that. Wants to get +1/+1 counters and then generate you mana equal to Vivi's power. So not only will it generate mana as you cast more and more spells, but also if you say giant growth or put an equipment on
God, this is actually kind of
tons
painful.
and tons of mana. On the right-hand side there, we will see Fire Magic, which is a card with the new tiered mechanic. Tiered is a brand new mechanic appearing here in Final Fantasy. You've never seen this before. We knew we had to get abilities like Fire, Fyra, and Fyraga into the set somehow. So this is kind of like a modal kicker. It's on a handful of cards, and the more mana you put in, the bigger effect you get, just like in Final Fantasy.
Okay, Kevin, you're sounding very enthusiastic. Is it okay that your game
Damn.
is Final Fantasy IX, right? You put a little bit extra work.
Bro, this is impossible.
Yeah, as the lead set designer, I might get to put my thumb on the
My
scale a little
ass
bit,
kicked.
and so I gave 9 a bit of extra love.
All right.
That's my bias.
I'm gonna just
Talking
I'll
about
move
extra
past that
love,
one.
right now we're moving on to a game called Final Fantasy X. First game on the PlayStation 2, the story of Tidus and Yuna.
Dude, everybody
It's an epic
loves
quest,
10.
And it's probably the reason that I'm around. The first Final Fantasy game to have actual voice acting in it. Without it, I wouldn't have a job. It's also one of our commander decks, isn't that right, Daniel?
That's true. And speaking of favorite Final Fantasy series, of course I had to make a Final Fantasy X commander deck. The thing about commander decks is while the main set goes
All right, hold up. I actually have to pay attention to this real quick. Because this is the new game mode I know nothing about. The fact that mysterious towers suddenly appear in Asker should not be overlooked. Shouldn't I suspect Loki or Thor is behind it? So, everyone stay alert. Okay, great. But then according to the text written here, you don't have to worry about traps. Magic within the tower does not harm, but it grants its intruders temporary power. As long as they are in the tower, this power is eternal. It's best sim in here we trust. Can't believe they went with Reese because of that. It's crazy. Okay. Cool. Starting each turn, every hero is bestowed all the status effects. Okay. So we just get to send in whoever we want. Interesting. Okay. All right. Bet. Honestly, I think we just kind of let Rhea do her thing. To be honest. I mean, Somebody blue, I guess, would be good. Oh, do I have a blue refresh? Yo, we could bring Dorothea. Or we'll bring Plumeria. Yeah, Plumeria makes more sense. My Dorothea really doesn't do much dancing, to be honest with it. I have to beat... Oh. Final Fantasy X was a religious experience for me. Many people, I've heard many people, they've said the same thing. I have a friend whose favorite game of all time is Final Fantasy X. Okay. I'm assuming you can just restart it if you absolutely fail. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm down. All right. I think I'm good now.
Why touching all 16 games, these Commander decks go deep. They're going to get those heartwarming
Just
moments
don't
that
lose.
follow Yuna
That's the goal.
and her party along. And while I'm not showing you that specific Yuna moment that you're probably all thinking right now, believe me, there is a beautiful card in the set for that. But let's talk about this deck. It is built around the Sphere Grid. That's what I wanted to do right away. It is a counters matters deck. In the game, you're moving pebbles around, getting new abilities and raising your stats. In the game, you're going to be moving your counters around like you're building the Sphere Grid. TTS himself has that ability in the beginning to set up your party at the beginning of a combat. And then cheer, whenever he connects, he will proliferate all of those counters, draw cards, and you will keep going and going for that goal. And yes, there is Blitzball in here.
Yeah. Blitzball, baby. Okay, so that's TTS, but where is Yuna, Zakil?
Guys, you can't have Final Fantasy X without my girl Yuna. For those who don't know, Yuna is a summoner that travels through Spira alongside her guardians, and her main mechanical ability is her power to summon
got more
AOs
stamina
onto the battlefield to aid her in battle. So this
I can only get one?
Entirely on interacting with the Saga creatures in the set, resurrecting summons from the graveyard each turn, as well as buffing them while they are on the battlefield during your turn. And check out this beautiful borderless treatment as well.
Gorgeous. And from the summoner to the summoned. Let's see one of the most
potent on Ira. That goes crazy.
This is the correct reaction for Bahamut. Now, when I was a kid, if you asked me to picture the coolest possible thing I could ever think of, I would get you Bahamut
Oh my God.
very fast. So when we concepted this card, the conceptor, the artist, and the art director, we all agreed we had to capture the aura of Bahamut and put it into this card. So we see the moment, the first time.
Dude, that looks sick.
Game, and if you look at the flavor word Mega Flare, you get to that overdrive, and you know the game will be over.
Oh, that's pretty. So, also, this game has some of the most beautiful vistas in all of Final Fantasy. Let's show off some cool lands.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mentioned some of those rare towns earlier. This is part of a 5-card cycle, one for each color, and for 5 different games. This is Zanarkand Ancient Metropolis. This does something we've never done before, which is put an adventure on a land. These are the only 5 adventures in the set. They're on the cycle of 5 lands, and it's a great flavor fit because they are all things that happen in that location. Of course, if you're hanging out in Zanarkand, you might encounter the Fates. You can look for all 5 of these rare lands in the set, one for each color.
Amazing. My God. So before the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV, there was the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XI.
Oh my God!
Here
yes,
we go.
my people!
And because it is an MMORPG, you had a different approach to
Have y'all play 11
So
before?
Final Fantasy 11 as an MMO has a lot to explore, a lot to cover, a lot to dig into. It was my first MMORPG of all time. I spent countless hours, scouring the realms of NDL, whether I was making friends online or whether I was going up notorious monsters and absolutely just getting my butt kicked. I was just having the time of my life. So speaking of notorious monsters, let's talk about potentially the most notorious monster in that game. Just as a quick recap, if you don't know the story behind this character, this is a nigh unbeatable super boss endgame for the toughest of alliances with the best gear, and even then it was very difficult to even approach taking down. If you take a look at his card, I wonder what kind of time you will have when you go up against him.
Now from something absolutely terrifying to something.
Dude,
a
my
little
Ray is gonna be
cuter.
so
Let's talk
ridiculous.
About the Dragoon's Wyvern.
Where my
Aw.
Dragoons at from Final Fantasy 11? We all remember our Wyverns. I love this little guy. I spent so much time trying to go after this advanced job specifically because I love the idea of having the Wyvern. And so that's what Final Fantasy is about. It's achieving that amazing job, class, fantasy, in these beautiful, amazing worlds, and then never forgetting the whimsy.
Here we go. There's one more. You got something to show us, right, Zakil?
Yes, we've talked about monsters, we've talked about the sense of adventure. Let's talk about everyone's favorite NPC, the original Taro Black Mage from Final Fantasy XI, Shan Todo. Now, Shan Todo is the flagship uncommon, signpost uncommon within the set that focuses on spell swinging. When you cast on creature spells,
Oh my
he
God.
gets buffs on the battlefield, and then if you cast anything that costs more than 4,
That's got to be
you draw a
crazy,
card,
right?
which is very powerful in the context of limited and potentially even in formats like Commander.
Absolutely amazing. So, from Final Fantasy XI to...
Oh my God.
Did someone say 1? Final Fantasy 12. We ying, we yang.
Yay,
Dylan, give us a
12.
story.
Right, so Final Fantasy 12 takes the much beloved world of Ivalice, and there are many adventures, many stories happening here. In the intro, we learned the Arcadian Empire is beginning their conquest on Dalmasca.
Balthier.
And we meet our heroes 2 years thereafter. We're introduced to Vaughn, Princess Ashe, and of course, Balthier and Fran. I would love to show you this card. This is a commander deck I'm building immediately when this set comes out. And so, of course, as Sky Pirates, they will care about piloting the straw, going up against, and hopefully winning the game very fast.
Amazing. Now it's time to hear from Stephanie, our art director, once again to tell us about some very important pieces of art.
Oh my God.
So this is
Oh,
a
it
very
doesn't
special
stack.
story about the incredible Isamu Kamikoku Ryo. The city of Arcades is one of the first images made for Final Fantasy XII. Visually inspiring and dense with details, this piece immerses you in the
God.
world of Ivalice. This image was used as a promotional ad in a Japanese magazine to get artists excited to work at Square Enix on Final Fantasy XII. There are many employees who are currently at Square Enix because of this painting, and in turn, Isamu made incredible friendships during his time there. It's no exaggeration to say this painting changed lives. It stands out as an example of Isamu's artistic perspective.
Dude, the
to
big
push
buff numbers make me
imagination
so
and
happy.
craft worlds that have never been seen before.
And what's amazing about that piece of art is there is a link between 12 and the next game in the series because that same artist had a hand in designing what we're about to show you now.
Ooh.
ライトニングらしさっていうのをもう一回考えた時に内面にその激しさは秘めているんですけど外から見ると静かに佇んでるような姿が一番ライトニングらしいのかなっていう。ライトニングって
That lightning?
武人なんです
That's
よ、
lightning.
侍のような女性なので普通に立ってても常に剣構えてるんですよ心の中では。マジック・ザ・ギャザリングとファイナルファンタジーのコラボは僕自身もすごく想像してなかったコラボレーションなのでマジかって感じでそこにまあ僕が書かせてもらえるっていうのがすごい光栄だ
I'm
な
just
と思
picking
い
the
ました
icons that look good.
商品としてのすごい
Dude,
完成度の高さに
13 gets
ちょっと
like
びっくりしちゃってよかったなっていうふうに思いました
very
よ
little
かったなっていう
street cred, I feel like. And I don't know why.
Dylan, tell us a little bit about the game, Final Fantasy 13.
Final Fantasy 13 perhaps is the game that leans most into its science fiction elements as it thrusts us into the artificial world of Cocoon that floats above Grand Pulse. You see, in this world, we have these supernatural entities that are known as the Fall Sea. Though humanity fears them, they seek their protection. And the Fall Sea have the ability to designate La Sea, which are basically prophesized chosen warriors. This game takes a bit of a spin of if that's really a good thing or not. As we all come to find out, Lightning, our protagonist, and her party members have chosen to become these new chosen heroes. And they go on an adventure and a quest to fulfill their focus, which may end up bringing about the end of the world. Don't worry, they are our heroes, though. let's talk about Lightning and some gameplay from Final Fantasy 13, Zakil.
Yeah, so Final Fantasy 13's primary game mechanic is a mechanic called Stagger. This mechanic rewards you for exploiting your enemy's weaknesses, and once you trigger the Stagger,
I'm gonna
gauge,
just jump
you're
up
able
here.
to deal additional damage within combat. So it only felt right for Lightning to have a similar ability called Stagger. So let's take a look. She is a 3-mana 3/2 with the ability Stagger. Whenever she deals combat damage to a player, until your next turn, if a source would deal damage to that player or permanent that player controls, it deals double that damage instead. And then she has these small, innocuous kind of buffs, meaning with First Strike and Trample. So if you attack
Desperation
with her
Rhea.
and let's just say a 1/1 creature, she has the ability to deal combat damage in the first strike phase, triggering Stagger, then buffing everything else you have on the battlefield, which is going to be quite good in red-white aggressive strategies.
And it is not often that Magic uses a mechanic for just one single card, but that is what has happened here. Gavin, what have you done?
Yeah, this is something very special. This is something that we had to do
Dude,
a
I
lot
can
of
warp
talking, a lot of
anywhere.
convincing, and it was such a perfect fit, literally a perfect fit for these two characters, Fang and Vanille. So here we are, Fang and Vanille. Now, if you know the story of Final Fantasy 13, these two characters are searching for each other, and they eventually find each other, and they do that well in the game, right? So when Vanille comes into play, you mill some cards, you get someone back, maybe it's Fang. Fang wants them to leave the graveyard, and then you get to draw cards. But toward the end of the game, you might know that they fuse into Ragnarok. And so the meld ability here actually allows you to turn the cards over and turn them into Ragnarok.
Ooh.
They're both uncommon, so you can do this in draft. And let me tell you, if you get off Ragnarok, you are going to win. It is a very, very cool moment, and literally the perfect encapsulation.
That's a
of these two
cool
characters.
thing that
Absolutely
they did.
amazing. Okay, now we move on to
I'm all
the
out.
critically acclaimed MMORPG, Final Fantasy 14.
I just want to see what
Personally,
happens
I
for
like to think of myself
16
as the
when people
weird
pop
adopted
off.
uncle of Final Fantasy 14, so thank you. And I'm so happy to be able to talk about that. Listen, Dylan, this is a game that everyone has an opinion about, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I just have 3 words for all of you out there. Hear, feel, think. Iconic words spoken by the Mother Crystal, spoken to all of you warriors of light out there. The critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV is often described
Bring it
as
home.
a theme park of Final Fantasy history, and I just absolutely love that comparison. It takes content from all the previous titles, it remixes them, updates them, and it brings them to a modern audience. It introduces
Not
you
all.
to games, characters, stories from long past,
Sad.
and hopefully inspires you to go try out all of these amazing games yourself. Now in the game, of course, you are the Warrior of Light. You get to customize your character, pick your job, and embark on a journey where you call the shots. So whether you are going up against
Gatekeeper.
Asian
Try for
perhaps,
Gatekeeper.
championing Hydaelyn's will, facing off the Garlean Empire, battling through the Dragonsong War, maybe going up against the bloodthirsty Xenos, or becoming the Warrior of Darkness, crying many, many tears at the end of creation, and most recently, enjoying a summer vacation. You are the Warrior of Light, and this is Final Fantasy XIV. You are all emblematic of the very wonderful community that Final Fantasy XIV is known for. Wonderful, friendly, kind, empathetic, and we thank you so much for being here and being a part of this wonderful, wonderful weekend. I can just personally attest to how amazing this game is and how profound it has been on all of us.
Daniel, this is obviously the last of the Commander deck, so I imagine you had to play a little bit of Final Fantasy XIV, didn't you?
Exactly. Unlike Dylan, and sounds like a lot of you, when I was first assigned this project, I had never actually played Final Fantasy XIV. So naturally, over the next month, I put 200 hours
Blue,
in with my
Olwen,
best work.
bet.
Getting all the way to Shadowbringers, I played Dancer and Black Mage for those curious. And we had to get Hildebrand Vanderbilt into the set. It was so important to be genuine to the fans because you can play the entire campaign of Final Fantasy XIV and not even see this lovable character. This card itself refers to his first chapter, The Rise and Fall of Gentlemen, where there are plenty of zombies, and Hildebrand is not dead after all. You can find Hildebrand and all the other scions in the Final Fantasy XIV Commander deck, led by none other than Y'shtola herself. where as you cast your non-creature spells with mana value 3 or greater, you're going to drain the table, draw cards, and continue controlling the game.
I did pre-order 2 commander decks.
Enjoy the deck, please.
Amazing. And whilst
I got
Ishtola is
14
here,
and I got
it's a great time
7.
to touch base with another of our celebrity artists talking about their specific version of Ishtola.
自分がギャザリングの絵を描けるのっていうのがちょっとびっくりしまして、まあ、今回その両方のプレイヤーの橋渡しになればいいんじゃないかなと思っています。僕割とその油彩風というか厚塗りっていう方で絵を描くことが多かったんですけど、やっぱりそれってギャザリングとかからかなりインスパイアを受けていました。これはテイストとしてはそのファイナルファンタジーのその14のエフェクトを
I kind of want to go back to 14.
ちょっと目指してデザイン
I feel like I MMO. I no life it.
ヤシトラは強い意志を持ったキャラクターなので、そこら辺が再現できるようにしたかったっていうところがあって、ちょっと人知を超えたような雰囲気を出せればいいかなっていうところで、少し凛々しい感じの雰囲気
Yo, did we just get a May and a Bowie in the same circle? That's so cute.
Obviously, there are loads of cards still to show.
We're just going
TTS
Spark,
over
folks.
That sweet version of Ishtola.
Yes, so here is main set Ishtola Ruel. She's a 6-mana 3/5 cat druid that has the ability at the beginning of your end step, blink a creature, and then if it is the first end step, you effectively take an additional end step. So you're able to gain advantage with creatures on the battlefield that have enter the battlefield triggers by blinking them. And then, just like the last Ishtola card that we showed at the face of the commander deck, also manipulate and use end step triggers to your advantage. So playing the main set Ishtola within the commander deck Ishtola deck is probably quite good. And you know, one of my favorite things about Final Fantasy 14 are the summons.
Ooh.
What's up?
Yeah, so let's talk about one you all might recognize, Summon Primal Odin. If you've gone up against this in 14, you know you're in for a tough time. Odin likes killing stuff. Let's start with that first chapter. Blows up one of your opponent's creatures. So that's neat. It's the second chapter where things get really gnarly. If you know Odin, you know you do not want to get hit by this attack. It will take you out. You'll take out your whole party. If Odin hits you during a second chapter, you lose the game. Do not get hit by Odin's second chapter. It is bad. If you survive that, if your creatures perhaps block by a little bit of time, you still have to contend with the third chapter where Odin's owner will draw 2 cards and make each player lose 2 life. Perhaps they'll even draw another Odin. Now, earlier I mentioned that there was some job select equipment from Final Fantasy 14. So where are all my summoners at? Perfect. Well, here is the Summoner's Grimoire, another job select equipment. So when this comes into play, you make a 1/1 hero and attach it to it.
I feel like I had heard that
you get to put a creature from your hand on the battlefield.
the summoner job wasn't
Piper for your longtime Magic
that
fans.
fun.
But if it is an enchantment card, it enters tapped and attacking. So that enchantment creature like Odin will come in right away. One other tiny thing I want to call out is in front of the equip ability, you'll see what it says there, Abraxas. Well, that is actually the weapon that is shown in the art there. Just a little nod to the different weapons that are used. The Final Fantasy 14 team thought it'd be really cool to actually reference the weapons that are in the art for the 14 tied job select equipment. So you'll find that on the equipment in the set.
Much of the major narrative of Final Fantasy 14 is the metaphysical conflict between Hydaelyn and Zodiark. So today we're going to show you one half of that conflict with Zodiark, Umbral God. He is a 5/5 with Indestructible God, and when he enters, each player sacrifices half the non-God creatures they control, rounded down. Now that's an interesting story element. If you're a Final Fantasy 14 player, you'll have to tell me if you think that is spot on to the story that Zodiark might be involved in. And here we can see the moment where I wiped every raid I was ever in doing this trial. I could not for the life of me remember this mechanic. I'm so sorry to everyone who was playing me. I was your Gunbreaker main tank, not using my cooldowns correctly.
I know there are people in the audience that are thinking, oh, there's one person
Gunbreaker?
from Final Fantasy
I respect
I'd love
that.
to see. Here he is, you thirsty people.
So, I mentioned before that you might find villains in the commander deck. Well, here's one every Final Fantasy 14 player knows. It's Emmett Selk. Now, the villains in the decks play on a little different axis. Emmett here will cast spells from your graveyard over time because Ascians know their history, but they will still trigger all of the non-creature matters cards in your deck.
Okay, here we go. 14's done. We're now moving on to 15. We are going like a rocket ship. It's again another great example of the way
Oh, this is
Final
almost
Fantasy
over.
has reinvented itself over the years. Dylan, what's the
I
story?
didn't
So
realize.
in Final Fantasy 15, we see this dramatic tale of epic war, political conspiracy.
Oh, it's after
human
midnight.
magic,
I didn't
opposing
realize.
kings, but ultimately, it puts the story of friendship and camaraderie center stage. We follow Prince Noctis and his very best of friends, Ignis, Prompto, and Gladiolus, on a road trip across the modern fantasy world of Eos. And embroiled in this conflict, we are going to go up against many cool monsters, cinematic boss battles, epic duels, but one of the biggest things that Final Fantasy 15 left on me was just the very sense of time and pace. The slow, quiet moments you spend with your friends, pulling pranks at each other, making food at camp, discovering new recipes, listening to music while you're driving around. It does remind me a little bit of the four of us and how we kind of made this set, so I kind of have a soft spot for this. Excuse me if I start crying.
I'm also there as well. Thanks, guys. Okay, let's look at some cards, please. Zakiel, take us through it.
Yeah, so Noctis is the main character from Final Fantasy 15, and his most unique mechanical ability is called Armiger, which allows him to wield the 13 royal weapons that come from his lineage that are depicted
All right, y'all ready for
in
this?
his artwork. So his ability allows you to cast artifact spells from the graveyard as a nod to the Armiger ability. And also, take a look at this beautiful borderless artwork.
Let's look at Arden.
But of course, opposed to Noctis is the game's antagonist, Arden. And here we see celebrity artist Roberto Ferrari has captured his signature grin and his powers over the Star Scourge. And we actually see that we use that as a flavor word because while you have Arden in play, you too will be making your own army of demons to take over the world.
Okay, that's Final Fantasy 15 done. We're finally here, guys.
16.
Final Fantasy 16 has arrived. I don't remember any of it. Dylan, what happened?
So just to catch you up to speed, Ben, I don't know if you've heard of this game, but this takes place at Valisthea. It is the latest entry in the mainline Final Fantasy series, and it is one of the most
17 gonna go
dark
nutty though.
and mature titles the franchise has seen thus far. It tells this gritty and grim tale of magic and explores the notions of free will. We are introduced to our protagonist, Clive Rossfields, when he is but a young boy. And we watch him grow over decades of in-game story as he turns into the epic hero who shall deny fate itself. And as we all know in this game, the summons are of paramount importance because Clive is someone known as a dominant, that who harbors the ability of the summons, the icons inside of them. And in the game, our heroes turn directly into their summons. I wonder if that sparked any good design ideas?
Well, it certainly did, and this is actually quite an interesting story because, well, we've been working on the set for 4 years. We said that earlier. Well, as we all know, this game came out 2 years ago, so it came out during the development process of the set. So we actually had a weekend when the game came out, and we just all started playing and trying to figure out, okay, what could go in, what could go in? This card, this card, this card. It was a great time.
Massive call out. Zakiel was always 2 hours ahead of me and Daniel, and we were like nonstop playing. My wife is here; she can confirm I was not sleeping at all. And somehow he was always ahead of me. I have no idea how you were just so. It was a wild weekend. Our group chat exploded with like 1,000 messages every single night. Like, this is an awesome concept. This could be a card.
You have to get this character in there, right?
I totally missed that quest. I have to go do it. So.
Okay, guys, be quiet. I want to talk now. Okay. God, we get it. You played the game. I was in it.
Yeah.
Listen, I think it's time that we previewed some cards, and I know what you all want to see. But first, let's see a character that is incredibly important to Clive in this story.
Yeah, so this is Jill, Shiva's dominant.
Dude, Jill's the
This card shows
goat.
off all of her icy powers. So on Jill's side, she comes in and unsummons a creature. Then when she transforms into Shiva, she will make one of your creatures unblockable twice. Then she will tap all of your opponent's lands. They cannot stop you. And then unlike other summons that go away, she goes back to Jill, re-triggering that Enter's ability to unsummon and continue using those icy powers.
Okay, now this is the moment you're all waiting for. This is the moment that I've been waiting for 2 hours. You want to see the Clive card?
It's on him. That's cool.
I have been sweating under that thing for 2 hours for this exact moment. Let's see it on the screen.
So here we have To be clear, that
Ifrit
is the correct
looks so
reaction.
cool, dude.
So here we have Clive and Ifrit. We knew we needed an epic card, and so that's exactly what we made. On the front side, Clive, of course, has Devotion to Red. Of course, it is the only Devotion card in the main set, but it fits his character so well. Who else would be so devoted to Red as Ifrit's Dominant? Then, when you're ready, perhaps the turn after you play him, you can pay 6 mana, flip him over, he fights a creature right away. Bam! Ifrit shows up. Time for that epic boss battle. Then, you get some mana the next turn. A turn after that, he flips back to Clive, if your opponent's even still alive by then, and you get to do the whole discard your hand and drop again before preparing to turn him back into a Ifrit. So, you know, pretty powerful combination of abilities here. Wouldn't you say, Ben?
I would say he's very cool. I would say he's the best one. You know, don't take my word for it. Okay, guys, that's it. We have done 16 mainline games, but I know, are you excited for this? Zakil, when can we get our hands on all this Final Fantasy goodness?
Yeah, so Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy releases globally on June 13th with pre-releases starting on June 6th. Now, if you're a Final Fantasy fan who has never played Magic before, I suggest you start with the starter kit, which comes with 2 60-card decks that are pre-constructed along with a learn-to-play booklet and digital download codes to play on Magic Arena. We also have our Play Booster, which includes all of the cards that we previewed today, everything that is standard legal, as well as the Final Fantasy Through the Ages bonus sheet.
You can't
Now,
get it
the
anywhere.
that we have here, as Daniel mentioned, are the 4 commander decks that are focused on individual games, 6, 7, 10, and 14. You can relive these games if you played them before, or learn about them if you never have. They're some of our favorites, and we think that they're such an amazing product. We also have our collector SKUs in the collector commander decks, which are the same mechanical identity of those commander decks, just available in 100% foil, as well as our collector boosters, which include all of the mechanical cards from the main set, many from the commander decks, and the awesome, amazing treatments such as the Golden Chocobo. Here's our complete product suite, including the beautiful gift bundle featuring Ifrit and Bahamut from Final Fantasy 16. And again,
I got that.
This set releases globally on June 13th with a variety of play events, starting then, running through the...
Hold up. Okay, what all did I get? I got... Oh, hold up. I'll be over here. In fact, chat, come with me. Come on a journey with me. Come on a journey with me. There you go. Join me, chat. Join me. Okay, so I got this deck and this deck. I should have got this deck. I think I got the gift bundle. And then I think I got a bundle. And I think that's all I got. So I may need to get the collector ones. I may need to go through like a shop for that. I might also get the starter kit, and maybe Jenna would play with me. Maybe I could talk her into it. I don't know.
From Final Fantasy 16. And again, this set releases globally on June 13th with a variety of play events, starting then, running through the remainder of that month, and MagicCon Vegas, along with Pro Tour Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy on the weekend of June 20th.
And of course, if you're a digital gamer, Final Fantasy is also coming to Magic the Gathering Arena with 3 different bundles you can pick up. The first, of course, is the pack bundle. You might be wondering, Gavin, why is it called the pack bundle? Well, great news. It comes with 50
Arena's
packs,
just the
5
online
golden packs,
thing, right?
You get this cool VV sleeve, the VV version, all kinds of awesome stuff going on there. Let's go on to the next bundle called the Pass Bundle. You might be wondering, why is this called the Pass Bundle? Well, this comes with Clive, comes with Noctis, comes with cool sleeves for both of them, and you get access to the Mastery Pass. Now, the Mastery Pass will let you unlock those awesome chocobos for Jason Tronder we saw earlier. You get a regular chocobo at level 1, a Jace chocobo at level 25, and the Tronder chocobo at level 50. And then finally, we've got the Play Bundle. You can imagine why it's called that. You get tons of tokens to go play in drafts. Plus, you get Kefka, Terra, some accoutrement for them, and my personal favorite, the Moogle Companion that can hang out with you in a game. And who doesn't want a Moogle hanging out with them? You can go pre-order that on Magic the Gathering Arena right now.
Amazing. So let's moving on. Let's get you even more hyped than you are already with this amazing trailer.
Oh, this is the thing we watched yesterday, I think.
I've been waiting for this. I'm ready as I'll ever be.
Final Fantasy is coming to Magic the Gathering. Draw swords. Cast spells. Play heroes and villains from all 16 core games.
People are depending on me.
I really appreciate the amount of effort and detail they put into there.
Time to shape your story.
Shall we?
You know what? You know what? I think there's still some people who might be on the fence about tucking into this, right? If there are, let's see if Stephanie can persuade those who might not want to get involved.
All right, folks. When you think of the essential ingredients of what makes Final Fantasy, what comes to mind? You've got your classics, your chocobos, summons, crystals. We're fans, we know all this. But there's one more thing that has been in nearly every game of the Final Fantasy series that we haven't quite talked about yet. Or should I say someone? It's Sid. Better yet, Sid's.
Oh yeah, they haven't talked about Sid.
For just one.
Okay, folks, this is how we're going to do it. Remember when I split the room up in two? That went well, didn't it? We're doing it again. Okay, this side of the room, I'm going to say a number. This side of the room, we're going to shout one word and one word only. And what word's that going to be? You know it. We're going to start with 2, okay? Because that's when he first appeared. So it'll go something like this. We'll say a number. It'll start with 2 like this. Say 2 with me. 2. Okay? You ready? Obviously, you're not going to say 2 the whole time. That would be insane. Okay? Don't. I think there's quite a few people watching at home. They're going to be so annoyed. We've just stayed on 2 for hours. Okay, are you ready with me? Here we go.
I should probably do the proper thing and level up a Boris, huh? Which Sid is the best Sid, though? That's a lot of Sids.
Everybody, it has been absolutely awesome to spend time with you. I hope you've had fun. I hope you are going to spend lots of money on this. Please do. Thank you for coming. I want to thank the incredible panel, Gavin, Zakil, Daniel, Dylan, Stephanie. I've been your host.
That was
Ben
cool.
Starr. You've been amazing. Thank you for coming.
Whoa. That was cool. I like that. Oh, where are we at? Oh, show me. Okay. That's fine. All right, chat. Just a little more. And Rhea will have so many skills. Gonna go crazy. Who do I use? Who do I use? Who do I use? Is my Ephraim already maxed? He is. Well, Ephraim? Actually, wait. Is there a 4? Oh. Yo, wait, chat. Peep this. Peep this skill. Peep this skill. Just in case they come out with like a Go the Dharma thing. You know what I mean? Just in case. All right. And with that, we can now take would I ever want Clever Fighter? Maybe I'd want Clever Fighter instead of definitely want Scowling. Yeah, maybe I take Clever instead. Because, I mean, really, who uses Vengeful Fighter for? I got the preamble, though, so, like, that makes new stuff a little easier, right? Whenever they introduce a new tier 4, I'm good. I'm all set. Near save. Far save. Well, Amelia. Guess what? Actually, yeah, that's fine. Oh, she has. Oh, I don't need Clever Fighter. Okay, never mind. Taking the air save. That's fine. I'm down. Now, let's talk about it. We are going to grab both boosts because a speed rail would be really funny someday. We're going to grab Canny Fighter. We're going to grab Scowling Fighter. We're going to grab Clever Fighter. And I think that's it, right? Yep, that's it. Okay. Boom. Bring it home. Bro, Rhea has so much stuff now. That's crazy. So what does Dragon Flame do again? Okay. Okay. It's got 4. I don't know if that would still be good. I do know it's 12:30 though. So we ought to be wrapping up here shortly. All right, so we can run Scowling Fighter now instead of Shield, which is basically her preferred skill, but in a generic flavor, so that we can still run a DC option. And we can do up yeah. So we can pretty much just run that now, which is kind of cool. I have no idea if that's actually good or not. I guess I could also run Breath of Life 4. That could be good. I don't know. A lot of options. I like the availability of options. It's nice. All right. Chat, I'm out of here. It's been real. I appreciate you. Be live again tomorrow. Be sure to stop on by. Thank you all for chatting, lurking, being a sub, being a follower, being a member, anything. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great start to your week. And I will see you here probably later in the evening tomorrow. Bye, everybody. See you later. Have a good one. I have to wake up in like 6 hours for work. Ugh.